This is the Age Case. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell. I'm just going to be going through the science behind 9/11. I've already gone through the financial side and the companies and people involved in a previous documentary. I've left the links below. Each tower is made up of 236 steel columns. They stand just 26 inches apart around the perimeter. More than 43,000 windows complete the outer skin. Inside, the steel plates stretch across the void, topped with nearly 1 million tons of concrete to create 110 floors. The North Tower is topped with a feature, the 360-foot communications mast. The outer skin supports the weight of the towers. The Twin Towers' external skin goes up first. 59 steel columns per side, each 14 inches wide, and with the low alloy A36, which can handle 36 kilos of pounds of pressure per square inch, which bears most of the tower's weight. In the center of the tower, where a core of 47 steel columns give each tower extra rigidity, the steel plates 60 feet wide bridge the gap, pinning the inner to the outer columns, anchoring the entire structure together. There are a few people in the world who say that no planes were involved, as they were just CGI. Jet fuels cannot melt steel, and aluminium planes cannot collapse steel and concrete buildings. So let's explore and go into a few of these claims. Jet fuel cannot melt steel is a correct claim, and combined with the impacts of the planes would have not been enough to bring the buildings down. Boeing 767 commercial airline is 125 feet wide and 150 foot long. The speed at which the airliner was traveling was 500 miles per hour, and it hit at a horizontal angle of -4.3 degrees into the 94th and 98th floors of the tower. It has been calculated that within first 1/100th of a second after the plane hitting the tower, the jet fuel engines exploded, causing the temperatures to rise to 750 degrees centigrade, and within the second 1/100th of a second, with furniture, fixings and paper igniting, bringing temperatures to a minimum of 980 degrees, in which it would have burned at this temperature for a minimum of 8 seconds before rising to a temperature of 1100 degrees centigrade and burning for at least 4 minutes before the jet fuel burned out, and a further 8 minutes remaining at this temperature of around 1100 degrees centigrade. With the aluminium aircraft covered in debris, it would have created an insulated furnace reaching the core temperature of around 1200 degrees centigrade. Then the aluminium from the plane would have flowed like water through the floors and walls. When the water comes into contact with molten aluminium, the water molecules recombine, producing aluminium oxide and hydrogen, releasing an explosive amount of energy. It set off an exothermic reaction, causing large amounts of hydrogen to form, causing high pressure in many areas of the towers. Then followed high density clouds and a pyroclastic flow. Jet fuel burns between 426.6 degrees and 815.5 degrees centigrade. The point at which steel weakens to 50% is 593 degrees centigrade. The melting point of steel is 1510 degrees centigrade. It can also withstand a temperature of 1200 degrees centigrade for 12 minutes before buckling and warping like it did on many of the floors. The smelting point of aluminium is 800 degrees centigrade and the melting point is 1190 degrees centigrade. Many convincing YouTube videos showing CGI planes don't produce molten aluminium, which was seen coming out of many of the towers, but many samples of the 6061 aluminium, which with additions is a certain specific type of alloy only used the Boeing 767 planes produced only between 1984 to 1994 were found in the debris 3 weeks after the attacks, and were still burning at this core temperature and producing the high density clouds and pyroclastic flow for many weeks after, which we saw for many weeks after. So the molten aluminium at 1200 degrees ended up making the 83rd, 4th and 5th floors warp, and the integrity of the building collapsed in on itself, and the floors just couldn't handle it, which is what caused the free fall. So then what of the CGI planes and the mainstream media's filmings that gave us an impression that the planes did hit the towers and they did collapse? It's well established that the media lies and can't be trusted, and the 10 to 50 mainstream media shots of the buildings could have easily been faked with CGI. But what about the hundreds if not thousands of amateur videos from people shot on the day from over 7,000 different locations, as documented by an independent report by the people of New York, which also found in its studies that over the next 20 years more than 70,000 people have, and still to this day 12,000 people suffer from inflammatory lung diseases. The last victim of 9/11 was in December 2010. 321 firefighters also tested the high levels of polycyclic aromatic carbohydrates in their lungs, which could have only come from the jet fuel. So there's many questions that still haven't been answered by people who deny planes didn't exist, or that the aluminium could have caused the towers to fall, in which they kind of caused a chain reaction, a chemical reaction, which caused heat and melted steel's integrity, causing it to pancake and collapse on each other. If you was to do this with explosions, it just wouldn't have collapsed the way it did. So I never really get anything back, but I'm always up for seeing some alternatives, some science, maybe a video that you might think that I haven't seen. Always open for discussion. This is how we learn as humans, you know. So big yourselves up. I hope you've had a good day and you've enjoyed this. Please share it out as much as you like. Peace.